Hello, everybody. I'm going to be talking about a very interesting device that I have just picked up, and it's not this one. This one is here for comparison reasons, but it does fall in line with this. Obviously, you've seen the title, it's a Steam Deck, but just starting off, here's a Nintendo Switch. Here is the handheld system, so to speak, that everybody's been, comparing to. The Switch 2 has just come out, which, like everybody else, when that was announced, I went, I guess I'm going to go buy a Steam Deck finally. So, why I have this out here is to compare it for those who have not made it across the fence, so to speak, with a Steam Deck. Like, oh, hey, should I get it or should I not? So here's a Nintendo Switch. Yes, you have Nintendo first-party games. That is going to be the major difference with this system. However, another major factor is going to be scale. And I'm going to show this as I move this off to the side. Because here's a Nintendo Switch. This is the original first run. There's my amazing reflection. Red and blue version in a case. I've had this since God knows how long. I got this in the Mario Tennis bundle. So this came with Mario Tennis and, for some weird reason, 1-2 Switch. 1-2 Switch is actually pretty good. But anyways, so yeah, you got the same features, clips in and out. I do not use this guy a ton. I have a couple games on here, but that is purely because I really wanted portable versions of games that I had on that beast. So it kind of came down to this problem of, oh, that's cool. I guess I'm buying Power Wash Sim twice. And it became this kind of tiring thing because games that I was interested in on Switch were still full priced. And it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'll play it every so often or do it for multiplayer games. But again, it's like, okay, it gets used from time to time. Then I ordered the Steam Deck. I came in to expecting, yes, it's going to play some of my games, but it's probably going to still have some weird hitches. We'll get to that because I was blown out of the water, honestly. So we're going to move that out of the way for a minute to bring in this thing. As you can tell, the camera's now having to refocus because of how massive this thing is. So, again, the Switch is off to the side as I need to refocus this. Give me 1 second. Come on. You can focus. There you go. Apologize for all the stuff on the screen. I did wipe these down. So here's a 512 gigabyte OLED Steam Deck. This is the reason I picked this one up particularly. Battery life. I could have gotten the LCD for a couple bucks cheaper off of Steam. I wanted to at least have a better battery. So that's why I purchased this one, as it keeps defocusing. We're going to bring it back a little bit. Maybe this switch will sneak into the corner. So, you may be asking, okay, so you said there's going to be a size comparison of the Switch. Just as a quick throwaway gag, here's what a Switch looks like with the controllers right next to it. As you can tell, the screen of the Switch, here, because I can do this, it'll make it even easier for this comparison. Here's the screen of the Switch. It is barely the size of the screen of the Steam Deck. The controllers, obviously, are just massive. The other major difference, you're not going to have the click-in controllers, but there is a slight solution if you want a game not using these, which these are actually decent, but we'll get to that. So, yeah, this thing is not, by any stretch of the imagination, small. This screen is about 7.5 inches wide, or 7.5 inches across. It is very well done. The major things I'm going to point out before continuing on. The screen has a screen protector on it that I picked up, as well as a grip case with a stand on it. These are both from Amazon. I bought these before getting the Steam Deck so that I have extra protection on it. I do recommend, if you're going to buy a Steam Deck, just get some cases and screen protectors. I mean, it's with the amount you spend on it, which is worth it, it's worth also getting protection on it so you're not, playing it one day and then it breaks. So, aside from that, you do notice, oh, there's a case here. That comes with the Steam Deck. When I got this thing, did not come with a case. Oh, as it defocuses. Anyways, did not come with a case. I want to say I had bought a cheapy one on Amazon for like $10 that just had a smell to it. And eventually I was gifted a proper Nintendo case. The only downside, and I'll show this real quick. So this case literally only holds the Steam Deck. It's a little more of a tight fit because of my protective thing I put on it, but it still fits. So the Switch case I got is one of their traditional ones. Again, Nintendo logoed. I guarantee after this video, my Switch is going to get bricked since I've probably upset the Nintendo gods. But as you can see on the inside, it's got 2 slots for these. I do have the other one. It's just holding cartridges. But 2 slots with these little holders, bit of Velcro to hold this in place. And then this, as I get way too close to the camera, this is basically a little stand thing. We'll just use the defocus. There we go. I've been using this case for a while now. Like, if I am doing long car trips, this thing worked out. I would always have it on, on the stand, and I would have the controller separated. I like the case. The Velcro on the inside for that stand does not work anymore. That little shot I had where it was kind of stood up, that took a second because, again, I've used that Velcro and pulled it back so many times that it almost doesn't work anymore. So I'm going to scoot it off to the side, though, and we're going to bring the camera back so that we can get a better shot of this and so I can actually bring my hands in. Now let's actually talk about the Steam Deck. And I'm going to have to put chapters on this video that say, ignore this part, it's Nintendo Switch theme. Because this video is about this guy. And oh my goodness, I've only had him, this will be day 2 of officially having him. I love this thing. We're going to go ahead and power it on to show off one of the features.
Target acquired.
Oh, I love that. So, one of the major things about the Steam Deck, that little feature right there, there's little customizations you can add. That is a wake-up/startup screen. I have the setting on where every time I just put this into sleep mode, it will pop that back up if I want it to. I do that because that Portal one is just cool. So, here is the Steam Deck with the OLED screen, which this screen is absolutely beautiful. I will say, I never really went in for the whole OLED, looking better thing, mainly because I'm cheap and I like devices in general. Having an OLED device in hand, this is beautiful. The greatest example of this, and yes, it is touchscreen, is Hollow Knight. The sections where it's really shadowed or it's just almost stark black looks perfect on the screen. But we'll get to that. This is my installed library. We're going to just pop over to Great on Deck, just for reasons. So, obviously, the Steam Deck is going to run a lot of Steam games. These specifically are officially verified from my account. They do have in Steam app, in the Steam launcher, a section of Great on Deck. Those are helpful. You can still play games on what are literally called playable. They're yellow symbol instead. But this thing runs a lot of games. And there's a lot that are verified. Out of my entire game library, I have 68 verified. A huge chunk of them ones that aren't verified are at least playable. But we'll get to that. So, obviously, you've got your controls on here. We'll kind of bring it off to the side. So on the left-hand side, you've got D-pad, share button. I'm going to call it the share button because that's the symbol. Left joystick, and a touchpad, which we'll get to. I know a lot of people are going to be like, touchpads? That looks horrible. These things are actually really good. I'm surprised. The Steam button, which is going to be kind of your menu button. And of course on the right side, other joystick, your letter buttons, because we are an Xbox household here. And the right trackpad, as well as, I want to say this is options, yep. Also below both of these, you'll see little grates. These are speakers. The Nintendo Switch, the audio on here, pretty decent. I think it's fine. The audio on this guy is absolutely fantastic. I am huge about how the audio sounds in my games and how it interacts. So it's not, if a game has really good audio design, that's great, but it does not matter if your speakers do not match the quality. And oh boy, these match it 1-to-1. It is amazing. I'm trying to recall which game I was playing where I had the audio going pretty loud, and it basically felt like I was wearing headphones. It was very well done. So with that in mind, we'll go to all our installed games, because these will be our examples. I have a decent spread for us to pick through that kind of showcase, some of the features. Um, but obviously, as you see, there's a lot of first-person shooters. I have Doom 2016 on here, which is verified. Left 4 Dead 2 will be one of our example games that we do use, as well as Hollow Knight. We'll use that for showing off some of the nice details. But I do have some games on here that are not verified and are just playable. We've got Pinball FX3, surprisingly enough, is not verified. And Viscera Cleanup Detail is not verified. However, both of these are playable. They are playable with a controller, meaning they are playable in general. What's interesting is the Steam Deck, when you install them, will tell you, hey, here's why they are playable. So it's really cool to see that Steam does kind of get into the nitty-gritty of like, hey, this is not verified because of this reason. And a lot of the time, it really doesn't change the experience as long as the game's pretty well supported with controller. Because again, Viscera Cleanup Detail, that works perfectly fine. I've messed around with it a bit on here, and it has no issues. But we're going to start kind of demoing off how it looks for certain games. So we're going to, of course, start with Left 4 Dead 2, because that's going to show off all the features. I could, of course, do Desk Job, which is the device tech demo you can download for this. I do recommend, if you get a Steam Deck, to try it out just to mess with it. A feature I can't show off on here just because I don't have anything to really test it with to show off. This has a microphone on it. I don't know where, but it does. And it sounds even better than my headset mic. Really well done. We're going to go ahead and hit that. We're going to turn the volume down too. I have this volume pretty up high just because I've been messing with it. Another great thing while it's loading, this has an amazing battery. On Hollow Knight, it'll give you about 6 or more hours. I haven't drained this battery fully. I got the device, set it up, plugged it in, and I haven't really gone below 40% or so because I'll get a lot of gameplay out for like a couple of hours between different games, and then by the time I look back at the battery, it's like, nope, you're still fine. So we're going to use this. We're going to use Dead Center just because that's been my tester. Pick a character. Again, this thing is not a small device. Your hands do come out a bit further from the screen, which is actually good. You would think the control scheme would be uncomfortable. I actually think these are pretty comfortable considering how it's set up. But again, get one of these like protective cases from Amazon. The one I ordered has a bit of grip to it, so it gives it a little bit more. I also forgot to mention, there are buttons on the back, which will come into play here in a minute. We have R4, R5, and of course L4, R4, and R5. Look, as I keep forgetting my letters and numbers. So we're going to keep the stand up. So one of the major things, obviously, you got your basic movement. Now, I have it activated on here, a lot of first-person shooter games, which I'll show here in a menu in a second. If you just press your thumb on it, not even moving the joystick around, gyro aiming. Left 4 Dead has it on by default, I believe. Yeah, and you can still use the joystick to give it more fine. So, Left 4 Dead 2 has a lot of UI elements. Anybody who has played it knows this. Here's how to choose your inventory. Left trackpad lets you do this. The left trackpad also clicks. So you would click to choose. Another thing is the haptics that are built into this. When a touchpad is activated, the haptics will interact with it. The haptics in general are great. Nice little vibration for pulling the trigger. So you got quick turn, crouch, and everything. Obviously, that's a lot of buttons. But I guess the next thing to ask is, okay, how do you turn your flashlight off? Okay, we can use the D-pad, but the D-pad does nothing else. The back buttons are programmed for this game specifically, where we have jump on the bottom right-hand side of these buttons, a flashlight button on the top left, and then the other two are, I believe, just empty right now. So that's a lot of features plugged into this, and of course, again, it is a Valve game. Valve game on a Valve device doing cool things. Apparently I can use microphone by doing that. Obviously it looks pretty good. You can easily get around the game with these controls. But of course this is a Valve game, so the first thing you would say is, well, it's Valve's device, it's a Valve game. That's why it's verified, that's why it has all these features. However, A lot of other games that are Steam verified are not like this and are very well themed, which we'll get to. But just to show real quick before I head on to the next demo game, all the games have controller settings. You can map and choose every single button and what it does. In this case, it has an official configuration, hence why it says it up there. But you can still change the settings, which also includes turning on gyro. Now, this is not locked in on verified games. Viscera Cleanup Detail, I was able to enable gyro on. So it really is, your controls are mappable for any game. I still have yet to test it on unverified Steam Deck games, the bottom gray marks. However, I've at least shown that it works on playable games. So again, you know, it looks nice. First-person shooters on this are a lot easier with the gyro aiming as I... Oh, get them working? Oh, I think I turned gyro off. But again, this shows how easy it is, so we're going to... Okay, right trackpad is camera mouse, gyro behavior, camera mouse. Resume. There we go. So this adds a little bit of extra fine adjustment for first-person shooter games, which... One of the main things for me, because again, I am a PC gamer foremost, is trying to play a first-person shooter game with controllers is pretty difficult. So this makes my life so much easier. So that just kind of shows, okay, here's what the trackpads can do. You can also use it in some games. They treat it as like a mouse. Again, the trackpads on paper sound like a horrible idea. They're absolutely really nice. I have no quarrels with them. I thought I was going to honestly just never use these. These actually work pretty well. So we'll go back to the menu as I put my hand in front of the screen. So obviously you have all your other stuff, achievements and stuff like that. You can record gameplay through here and do screenshots. But again, it's verified and it uses all these features really well. The other major thing that we're going to show off real quick is the screen and the audio, which I'm going to use Hollow Knight for. This game is addicting. You'll see. So we're going to pop our volume back up. It's probably not going to come across on the microphone too well, but Hollow Knight also will show off the screen because they have some amazing color schemes, but it's a lot more monochromatic. And it'll kind of, again, I'm recording this over a phone. It won't have the same effect, but you kind of get the gist of it over video. It's just loading it back up. It doesn't take that long to load games. It's running an SSD, obviously. You have an SD card slot, too, if you want to expand storage that way. Headphone jack up here, volume, power, charging slot. Another major thing, charging slots on the top. I absolutely hate with the Switch when I have to charge it, or I want to go and play it, but I have to charge it, having the charging on the bottom. There's a reason you don't put cables for a device you're trying to use on the bottom. You can ask the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast did that with their controllers. I love the Dreamcast to bits. That is my only quarrel with it. I think that's a lot of people's quarrel with the Dreamcast, is that it has that weirdness with the cable coming out of the bottom. While we're still waiting, as you can tell, it's a little smudged up. If you have a device with a screen on it, even when you clean it, I did wipe these down. They pick up fingerprints like nobody's business, but this is a good screen. I want to say they advertise it on Steam's page. I want to say this is tempered glass on it before I put the cover on it too. So it's got a little bit of resilience. It's supposed to be a little more scratch resistant. Again, put a screen protector on it. But that's a general thing. Any new device you get, put a screen protector on it. Not sure, put a screen protector on it. We're going to do this real quick. Because apparently, Hollow Knight has glitched. It could also be because of the fact I'm thinking it's grabbing my save data. I'm able to play this stuff offline pretty easily. Hollow Knight's actually coming from a family library, and I had no issues running it on here. So it does work with family libraries, so that's been great. But I also think it's trying to upload my save data because I've been playing it offline for the last couple of hours. So it's probably trying to upload everything. So we will pull this off camera real quick. But while I'm doing this, we'll put this back in here. This will be our sad placeholder. So, a lot of people are still going after the Switch 2, which, understandable. If you want Mario Kart and a lot of first-party Nintendo games, you have to get a Switch. But in all honesty, past that, a Nintendo Switch is... there's the Velcro I was talking about earlier. The Nintendo Switch is a good device. It really is. The problem I have with it is that it's a new ecosystem that I'm trying to get into, and it's costing me more getting into this ecosystem's games than it is getting into Steam's games. And that's not including the fact I've had a Steam account for an egregious amount of time. Alright, let's get that fixed. And now that we've done that, get the nice artwork. The Steam Deck's not having my shenanigans today. So we'll let that load up now. So already, as you can tell, let's bring this up. We can do that. Just all of the detail on this. Obviously, it's not coming across great on camera. All of the blacks. It's not even like... I guess the best case would be... if we were to play this in the dark, you're not seeing any of these black sections at all. They're not lit up. They're basically just shut. Again, people who know about OLED know that this is an amazing detail. It really requires seeing it in person to really get the full effect. But man, does it look beautiful. We're going to pull this up. Turn the volume back up. So we're kind of testing out the audio a bit doing this. Again, there is a left and right speaker on this, which is absolutely amazing. Again, visuals make a game half the way. Audio is the other part. Now I gotta do this while recording and immediately fall into a pit. That helps because we got the music running. Another great example of this. Again, just bring this down. Just really beautiful looking. Not just on the Steam Deck, but this is an amazing game. But the audio coming out of both speakers, running in stereo. I'm curious to see, I need to do some research on it. I'm curious to see if the Steam Deck is running any version of a Dolby Atmos type stereo sound effect or not. Because I know certain devices do that. The phone I'm using to record this, the Note 10, does have it built in where it's supposed to assist with getting a more almost, surround system with two speakers. So Hollow Knight's an amazing example of both the audio and visual. Any of the Valve games, I'm assuming, are going to have some nice additions. Left 4 Dead 2 is what I chose because I like Left 4 Dead 2. The storage on this is pretty good. I want to say 200 to 300 gigabytes still left on here, and that's including the fact I've installed Doom 2016 on this thing. Another major feature you would say, oh, well, Left 4 Dead 2 is good, and a lot of games like Dusk are good, but it has Workshop on it. Does that work with it? Yes. Even to the point that you can access Workshop through Game Info. So you can subscribe and everything to, different add-ons and everything under the moon. And it will download it and work on it. The one thing I will point out now, because obviously I don't have a game to install to demo this, when it installs a game, it does it in stages, so to speak. So it's not just install and then placing it on there. It does like I want to say it calls itself a pre-shader cache. So technically you're installing 3 layers, and it still installs very fast. This is running, I want to say, they said Wi-Fi 6. This is running off of a 5G network, but it's not fiber, nothing like that. And this installed all of this in like a couple of hours, which is really fast. The store also is very responsive. I know that sounds like an odd statement to make, but when you've been using a device like this, where the store seems to lag, which shouldn't be the case on a device that's that, you kind of notice those little details. In regards to any slowdown or latency, I was actually testing out some of the other features with this too. Pinball FX3 is a game I've played way too much, to the point that when I had set up the tower right there, I hooked it into a TV that has a specific game mode. I had to turn game mode on because the latency on this game on that TV was off by enough that I could notice it. I have way too much time on my hands to be able to notice latency on a pinball game, but I digress. So I was using this as a latency test because another feature, because again, this is a huge device, they have Bluetooth built into it. We'll pop it on. Something I also found out, you can connect more than just Xbox controllers. You can connect everything from Xbox to Nintendo Switch, which that was a test that I was trying to see because I own a Nintendo arcade stick to see if I could run, an arcade stick. So we're going to hook the Xbox controller up just to show it on camera. This is the one I'm using, fully wireless. All of the system buttons will be swapped over, but I mean, there is no latency on this one. Again, I tested with Pinball FX3 using this. There was no latency that I could tell that would cause any issues. Obviously, everything works. Whatever game you run it through will change it. And actually, I'll show it off. Every time you start up a game, it shows you what control scheme or what button layouts they're going to be using. It also changes the symbol based on if you're using a wireless controller or not. Usually it would be just a Steam Deck symbol. So while that loads up, we'll even show it off real quick. Again, this is a great device. I am more than happy that I purchased this. I'm kind of reviewing it because I know a lot of people are on the fence about it. Should I buy a Steam Deck? In my opinion, you should, but I also understand the hesitation. So we'll get that refocused. And of course, because this is a table I've spent way too much time on, not even just on this device, but I've been playing this specific virtual table even since Pinball Arcade had the license. So just to show off, literally playing through my phone through a screen. So there's left trigger. We're gonna move out of the way of right trigger. Pretty much instantaneous. That could just be a general new thing, not just with the Steam Deck, but I do remember there being issues with certain Bluetooth devices having a bit of a slowdown. But I mean, this table I played for a little bit with the wireless setup instead of using the Steam Deck controls, which again, these controls on here are really nice, but if you wanted to stand it up like this with a, again, if you have a stand for it, then that works. You can of course also get the Steam Deck dock, such a mouthful. That'll run you $70 if you get the official one. I'm tempted to get one, but I do know there are options out there that might or might not be good if you're getting a third-party version instead. Again, compared to, I remember maybe a handful of third-party docks came out for Switch, but I also remember the fact that a lot of them had issues with bricking the version 1 systems. But we're not going to get into that. So yeah, that's kind of a lot of the major features on this device. It has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, it has haptic feedback that honestly feels better than this guy. You can download games that you already have on Steam. You can download games that are technically not considered compatible. I'm trying to see which compatibility. Yep, this is a non-verified one. So, of course I picked the one that is non-verified. It'll of course show next to it Steam symbol and then a little check mark if it's verified. If I can find... There we go. Yeah, we'll use this random game I guess I downloaded at some point. And then of course yellow for playable. This is the major thing it's already stated to me. You cannot run VR off of this, or at least I know there's a video out there trying to. I would not recommend it. You need a little bit of a higher system to do that. And this system's good. This can run, I've heard statements that the Spider-Man port for Steam can run at about 60 frames. It's almost the equivalent of playing it on a PS4 Pro. Where is you pointing? If you're not sure if your game is supported, go onto Steam and you can narrow it down based on if it's supported, playable, or just not. Even down to this device has it too. We'll use the Xbox controller to do this. As I realize what the filter button is. So verified only is what I have it set on, but you of course can use the proper one that can do this. All games, verified, played, and untested, and of course verified and playable. I mean, this is an amazing device. If you're looking for games that are great on deck, or, you know, verified straight out, it's easy to choose it. Even big names like Skyrim work on here and Fallout. But yeah, this has been a great workhorse. I'm excited to keep pushing it and working with it. Because, I mean, not even working with it. I can't wait to keep playing with this because the features are so well done. This thing also has heft. I mean, you see how thick this is. Not including this, again, not including this case on here. This thing is hefty. The Switch is nice. It's got good quality. It's nice and, you know, portable. This is somewhat still portable, but oh my goodness, it feels so much more solid. So, but yeah, that is kind of my weird rambly review of the Valve Steam Deck, which is, my God, if you're on the fence about getting one, please do. Just, you know, put the money down for it because these things are amazing. Another major thing, you can only get this through Steam. Unless you're buying a secondhand one, which honestly, with how people charge for it, you might as well just get a brand new one. Steam's the only place you can really order these. The turnaround time for an order, at least in my case, was amazing. I ordered this on a Tuesday. It arrived on a Saturday. So they had packed and shipped it by that point. Yeah. But, alright. I think that's all I'm going to ramble about before going and play more of this, because, again, I love this thing. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. I hope this weird rambly review was good enough info on how the Steam Deck is, and hopefully this inspires people to go and buy their own if they're on the fence about it.